and welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFL round review. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have hit the buys, so not as much footy to talk about, but just as many storylines to discuss. And joining me today as my co-host, a very good friend, a fellow YouTube podcaster, and a fellow Swans man. We were both drowning in our tears after an atrocious loss this weekend, but we have some positivity. We're trying to have some fun, but it's always good to talk to this man. We have Riley McCarthy of the Riles Maca YouTube channel. Riley, it is great to see you again, sir.
Oh, thanks very much for the introduction, Donny. Yeah, no, it's good for a chat. And yeah, geez, the Swans ordinary on the weekend. But as I've said before on my channel, it's good to see some of the teams that are striving for success that haven't had it for a little while now get up there. So a bit of change this season. It's good to see as a neutral, I guess. But no, keen for a chat.
Yeah, no, always enjoy that. One of my fellow podcasters over here in the US has a great line, and I agree with it. Is I want to see nine good games. I want to see nine good games of footy, no matter what. Even if it's my
Mm.
team, I hate blowouts. I detest blowouts.
Yeah.
I think they really take a lot of the intrigue out of the game. So I am 100% with you. So looking at it, we had seven interesting games with some interesting results. I'm fascinated. Let's go right to it. Thoughts on this interesting round 12?
Well, yeah, buys can always be fairly ordinary, but yeah, we saw some, I guess, some statements made. Really every game you looked at, I thought Essendon were very competitive with very low expectations, and a lot of people thinking they get belted. Hawthorn, geez, they're ordinary, sort of like Sydney in a way, where they're lacking confidence and connection with how
Hmm.
they're moving it, not really having much of a method. Moving the ball, I find midfield underwhelming. The pie is just great in all facets of the game.
Hmm.
Fremantle turning into the Road Warriors. I think the last two well, they've had the last three games. They've had two really good wins on the road.
Hmm.
GWS did it for Cow Ward. I hate to see that. What a just a fine stalwart of the club he's turned out to be, Cow Ward. And yeah, the Tigers are going to be a bit of a danger game for the Swans, no doubt. And then yeah, Adelaide. I know more of it's about Sydney. And I usually hate to say it's more about the loser, but I guess in that sort of a case, when you lose by 90 points, it is. But the Crows look like a well-drawn outfit.
Hmm.
They're great in all areas of the ground. I thought their pressure was elite. The Saints, most inconsistent team in the comp. I've tipped them sometimes and let me down, and then I don't tip them, and then they pull out that. Oh,
Yep.
geez, they make me pull my hair out. But Melbourne, 2023-esque. I think it was one goal 12 after half time, and
Hmm.
yeah, no, the Cats just clawed their way to victory. Got it done when it mattered, when it needed to be done. Like Cameron, I think kicked a cut most of his goals in the final term. But yeah, the Eagles, they're improving. So plenty to say about this round.
Yeah, it was a very interesting round. Each game has its little intricacy. So let's jump into it. We'll talk about each one. So as you kind of started off, we'll start at the GABA as the Brisbane Lions get an 18-point win, 90-72. But I agree with you. The storyline for a lot of people was how ugly could this game get? Essendon, they hung in there despite all their injuries. They fought, they clawed, but the Lions just too good. The defending premier is showing why they were why they won the flag last year. Impressive performance, but I agree with you. As much as this hurts, as much as Essendon fall by 18 points, man, did they give it a mighty crack in this game.
Yeah, it was a big third quarter for them. I think yeah, Brisbane started this game fairly well, but yeah, we're able to slowly turn things around as the game wore on. Caldwell had a massive, probably one of the best quarters ever out of any player. I think he had seven clearances in that third term, a hell of a lot of touches. Some of interesting positional moves. Merritt was a bit more half back, distributing there. They had the first game as Zach Johnson, looking like they've got something there at half back as well. But yeah, a really, I guess, what's the word, gallant
Hmm.
a performance. I think you got to be proud about if you're an Essendon supporter. And it might be a season where they're going to be up and down a wee bit, but you can see that once they get a few more troops in with the injury list they've got, and once they acquire probably a bit more talent through the draft, they could start to now really turn. And yeah, a performance I think you've definitely got to be proud of. Their pressure really ramped up, which was impressive. Caddy, outstanding too, just so athletic.
Hmm.
But yeah, Brisbane got the job done. I feel like when they've been under the pump this season, yeah, they've been a bit of a letdown here or there. And look, they could have a soft underbelly, but geez, they're tough. And yeah, their mids got the work when it mattered. And yeah, Loban, good to see him with a fully injury-free game. I think he kicked three goals. So yeah, Brisbane getting it done, and I think they'll no doubt be one of the teams pushing for top four.
Yeah, no, 100% with you. This is a great Lions team that they're put together. They win scrappy. I'm worried if it happens in the finals, I could bite them. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it again. I think a lot of teams are going to prepare for it a little bit like what Collingwood was the year after their year, where they won so many games by coming back. Eventually, teams are going to figure it out. Eventually, teams are going to work it out, and it's not going to be your one wood anymore. And it's a difficult way to win a lot of games of football. So I'm hoping it changes. I know Fagan's probably pulling his hair out, probably tired of games that they go behind. Not so much in this one, and I agree with you. Essendon, so many flashes of brilliance, and this is a squad that if you look at it, there's such a bright future. Caddy and Kako have been fantastic up front. Despite the injuries, they've played well. Again, Merritt having another Merritt season. I can't argue. The guy is absolutely incredible. Love watching him to death. So, man, I'm with you on this one. You hate valiant losses, and I don't think Essendon supporters want that. They want to get this whole streak done. But man, was it a fight in a game that I think a lot of people were like, no this, no this, no this, no this, no this. You just don't have a shot. And they came out and they laid the punches down. Just didn't have enough petrol tickets in the end to be able to hold it out. So again, valiant effort by Essendon. Again, Brisbane just they did what they needed to do. So we'll move to the MCG Friday night footy as the Collingwood Magpies take a game that I was up and about for. I thought we're gonna get a good cracking game of footy, and damn, by the second quarter, I was already going, oh crap, this is not looking good.
Yeah, wow. Geez, the Pies look just good in all facets of the ground. Defensively, one of the best teams in the comp. They're just set up so well. They might not have the most household names here or there. The depth has been tested this season, but they just
Mhm.
find ways to get it done. And yeah, Hawthorn, a lot of the limelight shining on them on how they played. They started the game all right. I think they kicked the first couple of goals and they were moving the ball with a bit of pace. You could tell right from the get go they wanted to move it fast, but
Mhm.
just as it wore on, Collingwood really tightened up defensively and they just seemed really lost their force goes slow and wide and they were getting out pressure at ground level quite a bit. I thought they were a little bit better in the midfield from last week's hit out where they did go down to Brisbane, but yeah, geez, they're just looking loose across many areas of the ground and aside with confidence issues. So how will they bounce back? That's going to be certainly a question. But yeah, Collingwood no doubt just get it done. Their forward half game so dangerous. Dacos racking up the football again. Side bottom. What a season he's having, eh? Just across the wing. So
Mhm.
non-preferred foot. So good inside 50. And Long's been a revelation. And what a find on the inside, complementing their midfield. Could it be the Tom Mitchell from 2023 in that extractor? But yeah, I always ponder looking at the defence. Is um, is Jeremy Howe one of their most important players? We all talk about Darcy Moore and Cameron
Mhm.
and Dacos, but I feel like this guy just glues this back line together because he reads it so well. He's so reliable. I feel like when he goes down or when he retires, I'm intrigued. Will they continue, the dominance with his absence? But yeah, Collingwood, oldest team in the comp, but geez, they look one of the most connected. So yeah, quality win by 51 points.
See for me, I don't like saying oldest because I look at it and go, I'm older than every player on that roster. So it's like I
Yeah.
hate saying older, like oldest. I think they're the most mature team. They have the most seasons underneath them, and it's so fascinating. I agree with you. Like Steel Side Bottom. I mean, did he drink from the fountain of youth over the offseason? He's looked fantastic. Pendles is back to his Pendle great. I mean, people are talking about could he get to the record the games the closer and closer to Boomer's record. I'm not going to sit here and go anything whether they will or not, but man, Pendles has looked fantastic. I don't know what Fly is doing, but he just right now he's become Midas. He's everything he's touching is turning to gold right now. And I'm with you, like their defense, their unheralded names, Quaynor, Howe, Moore, Frampton's come in and played those roles that he has. You've been with and without Bruzzy Maynard, and he's been fantastic this year. I mean, now that there's links to him leaving the club because other clubs want a player like him. So I'm with you. Like I think Jeremy Howe is that glue to that back line that he's unheralded for what he does defensively. I think everybody notices the high flying marks and the name and everything like that, but he just does what he needs to do. But Isaac Quaynor is another one. Like what he does individually on some of the
Yeah,
best small forwards in the competition. Man, hat off to you, Isaac. Hat off to you. He is incredible to watch. He doesn't get beat very often, and when he does get beat, it doesn't happen any more than like three times a game, and that's me even being high on that one. But they look incredible, and their forward line. I mean, how do you stop it? Like legitimately, how do you stop
yeah.
it? Because as soon as you stop one, say you stop Brody Mychek, well, now Jamie Elliott gets off the chain. Bobby Hill gets off the chain. Bo McCreary gets off the chain. Like it doesn't matter what poison chalice you take, there's still one that's going to burn you because
Mm,
man, are they incredibly difficult because they just they're so quick, they're so decisive, and they give every defense headaches because no matter how you defend them, they find the weakness and then they attack it and continue. And then when you change, they change. It's incredible to watch this team play. They're so much fun. I know I'm supposed to hate them because you're either supposed to hate them or love them. And I don't love them, but I don't hate them. Like I respect them because they're doing things you're not supposed to do with a mature list. And that's the thing that I find fascinating. Like they just keep getting it done when it needs to get done. They're in the flag contention, them, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and a team we'll talk about here in a little bit. Man, is it going to be a fun finals to watch if we get this type of footy because they were
for sure.
sensational in this game against
Mm.
Hawthorn. I'm with you on Hawthorn. They look listless. Are the Barras and Battle signings now hurting them? Is a question I've heard this year. Your thoughts on that? Because I've seen a couple people that say that maybe because of their ball movement last year, that maybe Barras and Battle are actually hurting them now when it comes to their ball movement out of the back half.
I still feel like they've had some decent games. Like Brass is very solid player one on one. Sometimes his distribution he can be a little bit lazy here or there, but the the talking point when they arrived was it was going to throw up Sicily, but the issue is the skipper is basically been looking like a liability. He's is he injured? Like he's seriously been out of form. But look,
Yeah.
I think those are good long term moves. I know Barras is now starting to slow down a little bit, but I feel like it does tighten them up a bit defensively, but the confidence is probably one of the bigger things for me.
Hmm.
Just how they're moving the ball, not really seeming to have much method. But it's worth a talking point, I feel. But these are quality players that have come across.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a fair enough one. But I don't think it's probably going to hurt them in the long term.
See, more for me, I think it's actually displaced Sicily because Barras is playing Sicily's spot. I mean, Sicily was kind of the fullback, kind of leader of the group. Barras has kind of taken that, and now I think he's a little bit lost because he's used to kind of being that number one defender or the swing defender if they need a defender that can go forward, mark the footy, and get goals. Barras has kind of taken that back spot, and I'm not sure if he's athletic enough to do that center half back spot in the same situation. And I think it's thrown his confidence all to hell. And I agree with you. I think he's finding something because I've never seen James Sicily be as atrocious by foot as he
Yeah,
has been this year. Like I agree with you. A lot of people have been leaning out. I know Mitchell has denied it. There has to be something wrong because I've never seen a player go from one of the best kicks in the competition to like 75th in that in that short a time period. So I
yeah,
think he's fighting something. I don't know if he's fighting a hamstring niggle or he's got a groins issue. I don't know, but there's something off about him, and it's
yeah,
troubling because I think a lot of people saw how they started. And again, maybe it was a little bit of the opponents that they had at the start of the season. But man, has this team just roller coastered. And right now they're heading towards Earth, and a crater is most likely their situation, the way they're going. It's just a little sad to see from a team that I think at the start of the year was so much fun to watch. So we'll have to see.
yeah.
Let's jump to the fun one because this one threw some shock waves as we jump up to People's First Stadium as the Gold Coast drop another one at home to the Fremantle Dockers 75-64. And as you said in your thoughts, the Fremantle Dockers have become the road warriors as their last two road games, both at difficult opponents, GWS and Gold Coast, and they find a way to get wins. Are the Dockers finding their form at the right time?
I think they are, no doubt. Pretty much in all areas of the game, really starting to sharpen up their inside game. They're really upping in the clearances. They're one of the best clearance teams from last year, whilst
Mhm.
they start off a bit poor in that area. And a few of their losses this season have been really timid with their ball movement. Look at the loss against the Saints and the D's. But when they really take the corridor and really get the handball receives game going, get that dare up and about, geez, they're good to watch. And just so many quality players in that outfit. Yeah, watching them today. It was interesting, Sean Darcy coming back in, how will that go? But it seems like with Luke Jackson's terrific form, they want to try and keep him in many ruck contests as possible, but also around the ball. So when Darcy was rucking, Jackson was on the ball as that big body mid. Thought he was tremendous. Clark, very underrated defensively, thought his game was superb. But yeah, this game
Mhm.
had his ebbs and flows. Felt the Dockers were the better side for the majority of it, but we felt Gold Coast could get on top of that midfield as they did throughout the second and third and claw the way back a little bit. But yeah, just a really stubborn and strong defensive performance from Fremantle. A terrific win away from home. And yeah, I think this could give the playing group a lot of confidence, no doubt, heading into the next few weeks and yeah, heading into the bye as well. It's always a good feeling getting that really solid win away from home, heading into the bye.
Yep. No, 100% with you on this one. I know some people are going the opposite way and they're kind of getting on the Suns, but and they're making the big excuse like this is the second game that they've lost in the wet. And I'm like, I get it. I get it. This is a team that are they used to fully fledged wet weather football? I don't know. We'll have to see. Two two games is not a huge sample size. Like if they play in three, four, or five, and they go 1-4, then we maybe have a run here. But I want to heap all the praise on Fremantle because I think we're finally starting to see the team that a lot of people have been saying Fremantle has. And I think they finally figured out that Luke Jackson's kind of their number one option as ruck, with Darcy kind of becoming that battering ram through the center of the ground during middle parts of quarters to kind of wear on a good big bodied ruckman like Jared Witz. Like you see later, like when if they face St. Kilda again, Rowan Marshall, some of these bigger bodied ruckmen that are going to beat up Jackson if they just let him go. So send Darcy in, kind of let him beat up their ruck for a little bit, and then let Jackson get them when they're a little bit fatigued. So I don't mind that tactic. I think that it may work eventually because it lets Jackson kind of, as you said, be that big bodied midfielder for a little bit and then go right back to being what his athletic brilliance that is, that an athletic freak when it comes to the ruck position. But Brayshaw was fantastic. Sarong is fantastic. Again, very rarely are they not, but they're starting to figure it out, and it's fun to see this Fremantle side up and about. Shai Bolton is now starting to show the powers that he had at Richmond, which is great. Which is great to see. That's why they picked him up. He's a great addition to this club, but there's still some things that he's got to work on a little bit with being teammates. Sometimes he gets tunnel visioned on the goal a little bit and misses open teammates. So that's the one thing I really want to see him work on as the season goes on because he's got some really good teammates around him in that forward half. I cannot wait. And it's been fun. It's been fun watching the Dockers the last couple of games. I've been excited to see them kind of accept and get to what I think a lot of people were looking at early in the season. So that'll be fun on that one. So let's jump up to GWS at NG Stadium where we saw a thriller as the Giants get a 3-point win, 80-77. And before we even get started on this, you said it in your monologue in your thoughts. I want to say it too. Man, thoughts are out to Cal Ward. It's absolutely gutting. He is an absolutely magnificent player. I know I'm a Swan supporter, but I've always respected Cal Ward. Cement head gets after it. I love watching him play. He's a no nonsense, salt of the earth type of footy player. Always respected. I hope this isn't the end for Cal Ward. I really hope it isn't. But if it is, congratulations on an incredible career, Cal. Congratulations. It has been so much fun to watch it. Really respect him so much on that. So I wanted to get that. I wanted to get out before we got started. Man, was this a fun game to watch. Richmond, again, they continue to say what I've said all year. They're going to give you a crack. Whether they win or not, I really don't care because they're doing exactly what I think Ooze wants them to do. Play tough, hard, get after it footy. If they win, that's great. If they don't, nobody expected you to in the first place. So huge raps to Richmond. Man, the Giants, they got to be wiping their head and going, whew, got away with that one.
Yeah, no, put it really well. And yeah, Ward unfortunately was confirmed earlier. He has done his ACL, so yeah, that's probably his career done. But yeah, no, just a fine stalwart of that club. So yeah, all the best to him. But yeah, Richmond, you put it right. They're heading it every game with basically not really much to lose because it's like if we lose, it's whatever. But yeah, they're just such a physical side, and they really got after them right from the get-go, smacked them around the ball, dominating contest possessions. And Presti comes back in for his first game. Thought he was one of the better players for the Tigers. Was
Yep.
huge. Can he keep injury free? Just his hamstrings always let him down. And Preston Taranto are really solid in that midfield. And yeah, just a few of those smaller players for Richmond. They excite me. Sethy Campbell having a quite a decent year. You got a few of those young key forwards. Sims competed really well, and John Four had his moments. But yeah, Sonsi was a bit of a letdown lad. He had a few soccer opportunities that went astray. But yeah, again, they still really should have won Richmond. Their goal kicking was poor, 10 goals, 17. Should have really won this game by 30, 40 points. But GWS for Coward, he addressed the troops at three-quarter time. Yeah, they got their ball movement going from the back half, like they were able to produce against the Blues. Really electric stuff. And Whitfield moved to half back, seemed to really improve things. Ash was probably one of their better players of the afternoon, rebounded superbly. But yeah, just a game that really got away, I think, overall for the Tigers. Really should have won it. Were one of the better teams, but yeah, spirited comeback from the Giants.
Yeah, this was so much fun to watch. And again, Giants find a way to get it done. Again, Richmond continues to do exactly what I thought they would do. Is they're gonna have a crack. Absolutely love it. So let's go to it, sir. The one game I don't think either of us want to talk about, but we will discuss it because we're professionals. We do this. But I want to take a little bit of a different twist on this because I know a lot of people they're going to continue to shovel and shovel and shovel shit on Sydney. But I want to I mean, Adelaide, this was the one thing I worried about as a Swan supporter because I know how good this Crows team is. I really enjoy what the Crows have been doing. Isaac Ranking's been incredible. Jordan Dawson, I'm going to say this. Please, somebody tell the national media. Swan supporters knew this kid was this good from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to say it. I mean, Riles, was there any doubt that this guy was going to go over to Adelaide and be an incredible player for them?
Yeah, well, I think every single Sydney supporter when that trade was done knew we were going to get stitched up. It was the Demons' future first, and I actually decided to have a look at the trade tree. I don't know if I want to drag this on, but I'll just quickly go over it if I can
No, go ahead.
find the post of. Let me just search it up. But yeah, it was Melbourne's future first
Yep.
round pick, which is 2022 from that season, and in that 2022 draft. We traded that pick we got for Dawson to Hawthorn, and that was the live trade one
Hmm.
where they picked up Josh Weddle, and then we got pick 27, which we drafted Cooper Vickery, delisted, but then we got their 2023 second and third round picks. Those picks became pick 44 the next year, which was used to match the bid on Caden Cleary, and then we got North Melbourne's end of first round priority pick from the Stevens trade.
Hmm.
That's drafted Ned Bowman, and then we used their Hawks 2023 third round pick for Brody Grundy. So essentially, for Dawson, in the end, because the trades are finally finished, we got Cooper
Hmm.
Vickery, Cleary, Bowman, and Grundy in return. So I don't know, is that a fair return for Dawson? We knew this guy was going to be a superstar, and he left at such an awkward time as well because we were
Hmm.
on the verge of a terrific season. Look at the next few years, we'll make two grand finals, and such an asset for us. But yeah, it is what it is with Dawson. But yeah, no, what are your thoughts on that? The
I've the Grundy part really skews it a little bit for some people. I think it depends. Honestly, it, how it turned out, as you said, how it turned out, it's as even as you could possibly make it. But I think, like I said, the Grundy thing throws it off because Grundy went for such a lower pick compared to what he probably should have been worth. But again, man, Melbourne was trying to get rid of him, so I get it. They wanted to get him off the books. Completely understand. In the long run, I continue to say it. All the Swans fan knew how good Dawson was. The issue was
Mm,
is that there was just so many good midfielders at the time. He wasn't going to get into the midfield. He was perfect off
yeah,
halfback because of his absolutely deadly pinpoint left foot. We all saw it. We all saw it for 2 or 3 years when he was on this team. Like he could literally hit a teacup. That was how good he was. So I think
Yeah.
I keep hearing all these announcers say that we didn't know this guy was this good. Like every Swans fan knew. Like so many people
Mm,
were upset when he left. I get it. Okay. His girlfriend had family back in SA. They wanted to go back to SA. I get that. I completely understand that. Have no problem with that. But this constant thing that nobody knew how good he was, we did. And I kept telling my Crows supporter friends who I was talking with, I said, you stitched us up in this trade because we know how good he is. He's worth so much more than you got him for. We know
mm,
that. And you're going to figure it out that he is. And then they claim that they stole, like, I don't know. Again, it was incredible, but wax lyrical, rewind. The Crows were fantastic in this game. They were everything they are advertised as. They are that good when they want to. In fact, I'll get this. The World Game Soccer through ball by Rochelle for the goal for Keys,
ah, it's
like
quality.
legitimately. I know that is skill to do that, but how it turned out was incredibly, like I have to do a round of applause because that was just absolutely chef's kiss perfect. Like I cannot be mad at that.
Mm.
And then the fact that Fox Footy even put out that he was onside via the World Game because Caleb Mitchell was 3 steps further back. Just
Ah, was he?
yeah, oh yeah. Caleb
Ah,
Mitchell was 3 steps closer to the goals. So in the World Game, he would have been onside. He would have been onside anyways. But man, the Crows were incredible. I mean, Tex Mocker,
mm,
Darcy Fogarty. I mean, there was nothing much that the Swans could do with a three-headed tall monster. I mean, Nick Blakey had to guard one of the three, and it's just not an advantage to the Swans. They could not do anything. Riley O'Brien and Brody Grundy had themselves a Greco-Roman ruck battle, which was incredible how there weren't more ruck infringements. But again, we won't. I digress on that. It wasn't the umpires were not the reason the Swans lost by 90. It's the
yeah.
Crows' pressure and the insipid response after they started getting down by the Swans. So, but I want to give plaudits to the Crows. I want to give
Mm,
plaudits to the Crows because they were incredible. They were everything is advertised. This was what I worried about. I was worried if the Crows get going, it's going to demoralize this Swans team. Their confidence is kind of in the tubes a little bit after the D's performance, and they proved me right. I don't want to go any further than that because there's been enough pile on the Swans. There has been. Let's just be honest. Everybody's talking about it. So I don't really want to go to it. We can talk more about the Swans a little bit later in the burning questions. So, I mean, Riles, I'll let you go with this. Like I said, I want to get my plaudits to Adelaide more than I want to pile on the Swans more is because they're getting enough pile on as it is. Again, social media and all that stuff, the cesspool that is that, trust me, I don't want to go any further.
mm. Yeah, no, definitely. I think yeah, Crows outstanding. They're looking like a lot more of a connected team. Defensively, they're a bit ordinary starting off the year, but they're really starting to tighten the screws now. Keane was outstanding, to be fair, kicking the ball to him all night long, but we're all
Mhm.
really solid defensively too. And yeah, just how they link up by hands was a lot more cleaner than the Swans on the inside, I thought. And
Yep.
yeah, that three-prong setup can definitely cause some damage, and they sub off Fogarty. How about that? Not Fogarty, sorry, Thorpe. So a bit of luxury there. But yeah, no, that's a really good quality win from Adelaide. They've always been known as a very, I guess, they've got Darren Burgess, one of the best fitness coaches in the world. He's been with Liverpool and stuff before. So I feel like for years, Adelaide have always built a pretty strong foundation of strong work rate, and I thought their work rate totally outdid the Swans. So yeah,
Mhm.
quality win from them.
Yeah. No, I'm like I said, not going to go any further. We'll discuss the Swans a little bit later in burning questions because it's always something that I do. So we'll save the pile on, which like again, I don't think it's going to be a pile on. We'll have a discussion about that a little bit later. Let's jump up to Alice Springs, where again another one, and I know Riles had some fun during pre-mic because this D's team or even the Saints, this is two teams that are enigmas. We can't figure them out as the Saints get a win at Alice Park, 90 Alice Springs, 91-63. But I'll say this, the old D's unable to kick straight, rear its ugly head. Where was this last game? 20 as if I remember, it's 21 behinds in this game. OMG. Riles, your thoughts.
Yeah, classic Demons, eh? When they actually look like a chance to win, they go and kick one goal 12 after half time. But yeah, plaudits definitely have to go with the Saints. I feel like when they've had won games this year, they've had to do it off really strong pressure and dominate their opposition at ground level. But they really got back to their strengths of the back half of last year. I thought their transition really good. Desire Wankley Miller went down a bit with that HIA, but Sinclair had a solid first half, but Nass huge in that second half. They drive across half back, the link up play really outdid the D's. So yeah, got brought down back to earth, I think, a little bit because they were able to move the ball fairly easily against Sydney, but they brought the heat. I thought also the Saints out pressured them, but yeah, Demons just a very flat performance. I thought they're usually a lot more intense from what we've seen with ball in hand and how they go at it. But yeah, just a bit of a letdown with conversion, but also their intensity, I thought. But yeah, the Saints just continue to really baffle us a little bit. Very young team, to be fair, you got to remember.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, good win on the road.
Yeah, no, it's just this is Enigma one way and Enigma another way. It's St. Kilda. You never know what performance you're going to get from him. I never know if we're going to get a great performance or a crap performance. And it's the D's. It's the same thing. Like, are we going to get D's that are up and about, that are getting after it, or are we going to get D's that they're good, but man, their accuracy is off. I know Keziah Pickett had at least one where if he just takes his time, he kicks a goal, but he rushes into it, he plays
Yeah.
on too quickly and pulls it right. So I'm like, you're sitting here a little frustrated. As I know the D supporters got to be a little frustrated because you wanted a nice little run to kind of pull yourself out of the hole you dug yourself, but yeah, you step in a pothole right here. So we'll have to see how they bounce back on that one. But man, plaudits to the Saints. They got it done. That's what you need to do. It's fun watching this team sometimes because they can be absolutely electric when they want to be. I just wish they'd be it a little bit more consistently for me. So kind of like as you said, when it comes to tipping, it's like when you tip against them, they have their great game, and then they irk you off, and then you tip for them, and then they have their worst games. A little
Always happens.
frustrating on that one. So, and let's jump out. Optus Stadium, final game of the round, sees the Cats win by 43. But the final score is a little bit misleading because, man, the Eagles were up and about in this game. And for 3.5 quarters, they were in this game until Jeremy Cameron magic absolutely lit up the second half of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, definitely a commendable performance by West Coast. Yeah, heading this into this, I thought maybe they could push the Eagles. I think to the past they've had some close encounters somewhat against back in the first half in Perth against the Cats, but West Coast been able to run away. Cats have been able to run away with it, but yeah, no, they started very strong Geelong. Right from the get go, they were just so quick with their ball movement and really fluid. And yeah, as it wore on a little bit, they turned it into quite mistake prone. They had a few errors here and there, and yeah, Eagles were really able to pounce. So I thought their intensity really upped after quarter time, and their transition this season, I think it's been fairly underrated. They've been able to have some nice chains of moving the ball from the back half. Harley Reid had probably one of his better games. Really grew as the game went on. Liam Baker. Apart from that awful, terrible awareness moment he had in the back 50 where he just had the ball and got pinned from the hole of the ball, apart from that, I thought he was fairly solid. Tom Cole had his moments here or there, but it was all right defensively. Oscar Allen kicked his goals, and Jimby, up until Cameron kicked those goals late, really, really
Mhm.
a performance you got to take your hat off off to. Thought he was really good one on one, but yeah, the Cats just got it done when it needed to be done. They just kept on fighting on, and yeah, they just look like such a connected team when they're really on the Cats, and yeah, we're pretty damaging off the turnover and able to kick well as the game went on late.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see Jeremy Cameron have these spurts where he can just literally be the best player on the ground. And I will say this, even despite what Cameron did, Ruben Jimby, take your hat off, son. You did an incredible
Yeah.
job. There are very few players in the competition that can do what he did for 3 quarters and not have a Jeremy Cameron response. Very few, very few. So you cannot get down on yourself, Ruben Jimby. You did an incredible job. Cameron, that's how good he can be. When he wants to, he can take over a game, and there's very few players that can stop him. So
Yeah.
it's so much fun to watch. But a little bit like Collingwood is this that with the Cats, they have this several-headed monster that you just don't know who you can stop. because Shannon Neal is starting to he's kind of starting to catch on to the Tommy Hawkins type of full forward, big body forward. Cameron is German Cameron, but then you've got the mosquito fleet. You've got Myers, you've got Close, you've got Stengel, and they're all dangerous with footy at ground. And then when you're getting great disposal from Bailey Smith, from Max Holmes, Ollie Dempsey, I think right now, if he's not the All Australian wing, I'll be shocked because he's been incredible. He's not a huge collector of the footy, but he gets goals. He makes an impact on the game
Yeah.
because we got such a work rate. I mean, he runs that wing. I mean, down at GMHBA Stadium, a little less work, but this is Optus Stadium. It's built almost exactly like the MCG, huge, expansive, yet he still runs goal line to goal line all day. It is impressive to see Ollie Dempsey play. So, man, hats off to him. Another goal in this game. He's one of the best wingers right now going around just because of his impact on the game. But the Cats, uh, I mean, I just can't say any more good things about them. They're just such a well balanced, well oiled machine. Again, and looking like another chance for a top four side and another shot at winning another flag down in Geelong. Man, it's interesting to watch this club. I
Yeah.
respect the hell out of the Cats. They annoy the crap out of me, but I respect the hell out of them because they continue to do things they probably shouldn't be able to do. So that is it. That is all 7 games. The other 4 teams all had to kick up onto the couch and got to relax this weekend because that's the fun of the bye. So we'll jump to the burning questions. And Riles, I'm interested to ask this because as the American supporter that I am, I'm used to a few things, okay? I'm used to a few things when it comes to American sport. And one of them is the trade deadline. And it's always something that's so fascinating in all of the sports. And I'm starting to hear in many of the podcasts and many of the shows that some Australians are starting to come around to the talk of a mid-season trade period. So, as the Aussie that you are, what are your thoughts on the growing calls for a mid-season trade period? Because we've just went through the mid-season draft, and for me, the thing is, and maybe it's because I keep track of the state leagues, I think it actually hurts the state leagues. I think it hurts the state leagues more than anything. I love that these kids get a shot, but it hurts the state leagues because some of these really, really good teams are getting picked apart like a Thanksgiving Day ham because the best players are being picked up by AFL squads in the middle of the season, while some of them are having some incredible years. And I have seen some teams descend because of this. So I ask, do you like the calls for the trade period? And if so, why? If not, why?
Yeah, it's intriguing the mid-season trade period. I actually did a video on it, I think the other year ago, sort of how could it work, sort of scenarios with it. Your point on the state leagues is interesting. I just think overall the VFL and stuff, the funding's always been very low on it, and I think that just is what it is.
Yep.
So it's going to happen. There's going to be talented players getting poached. AFL is so competitive. There's not enough depth. It's not a big enough sport for it to be a multi-tiered laid system. It's just is what it is
Hmm.
these players are going to get poached. But yeah, I thought I do subscribe to the mid-season trade period. I think it's fairly interesting. You know, it gives the clubs opportunity to exchange players here and there during the middle of the season, opportunity for maybe some depth players to head across to a team that needs a bit of opportunity, has an opportunity at a different particular team. And could there be a scenario where it happens during just one whole buy round? So a lot more focus is attentive on it. There could be different sort of periods where there's maybe a delisted free agency period, a mid-season trade period, and then a delisting period throughout the buys on the particular week. So yeah, no, there is a video I did make on it. Looking through it now, there's a few graphics here and there I did make, and yeah, I think if there were to be one, there'd be yeah, as I said before, a few different periods: the listing period, the actual trade period, where opportunity for clubs to exchange draft picks and players, and then a trade period for the previous year of draft eligible players. So yeah, no, I think it's intriguing, but does it occur? Probably not, given that you know it's something more for the end of the season. And again, it's just the AFL is just the one league with 18 now going to be 19 teams. So probably won't happen, but it's interesting one to think about.
I mean, and here's more of my argument for it. And again, I've heard so many people say like, well, it would only help the Victorian clubs. I don't subscribe to that. I honestly think it's just it is. I think it's a little bit of the non-Victorian teams being a little scared because they think that it'll be easy like to trade. I don't think it'll be easy to trade because I think especially and again, I'm gonna go American brain here, so stay with me here. Over here, I honestly think it helps some of the smaller clubs actually progress their rebuild, as they like to say, faster. Because what you can do is take a situation here. Like I'll make a point. Essendon have no ruck currently. I love Goldie, but they don't have a competent ruck that's ready for present day. So what you could do is say if we had a mid-season trade period is Ivan Soldo is sitting over there gathering dust at Port Adelaide. Essendon need a ruck to try to make finals. Port Adelaide don't really need him because they have Jordan Sweet and Dante Vicentini, who have played much more minutes. Port Adelaide can improve their roster by picking up a draft pick from Essendon, who need something now that and you have an available asset that is there. So Port Adelaide could trade Ivan Soldo for a second round pick so you can improve your list next season. Or maybe there's an Essendon player that of equalish value that Port Adelaide need, player for player trade. So Soldo now gets game time and maybe a second round pick or a interior defender that maybe Port Adelaide needs to increase their depth can be moved in that situation. So it helps both teams. Essendon gets a fix for the one position they have very little depth in, and Port Adelaide can improve their list either with a player or with a pick come the next draft. So for
Hmm.
me, I see the merits of it. Or even go back a few years, like remember when Goldie was at his power peak of his powers, but North Melbourne was towards the bottom, and Geelong had Reece Stanley. And again, no disrespect to Reece Stanley, but he's not Goldie. Imagine if Geelong could have traded their first round draft pick that year during a trade period to North Melbourne, so North Melbourne can get another first. They get Goldie. Goldie gets to go for a premiership, and North quickens their rebuild because they get another first round pick to put into their roster. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, that's very obviously justified scenarios on why there would be a mid-season trade period, no doubt. But yeah, I just think overall probably wouldn't work. It's something to say for the end of the season, whilst we've got the mid-season draft, where yeah, there's opportunity for some exciting talents that weren't in the draft necessarily last year to come through and make an impact on this. And we're seeing some players like John
Oh
Newcomb,
yeah, no, yep.
Noble, no
Completely agree
doubt.
with
So
you.
yeah, yeah,
Completely agree with you. And that's the one call for it that I completely agree with. No, I completely get it. But there are just as many that they get drafted, they never see the field, and then they get cut.
Hmm.
And what does the SA what does the Sandful get? What does the VFL get? What does the Waffle get for a player being taken away midway through the season? There's it's a two-way sword both for the AFL. This player
Yeah.
gets Jai Newcomb. Okay, well there's at least 10 players I can think of that were drafted that never saw an AFL team, never saw an AFL game. They trained for 3 months and then bye bye, delisted. So I get it. No, I completely get it.
Yeah.
If it happens, if it doesn't happen, no skin off my back. It's an interesting way to look at, again, my American brain. So I apologize to Aussies here. I'm not trying to make your game American. I'm not. It's just a suggestion to maybe increase or change things a little bit quicker than only having one trade period, one draft. That's it. Like, just go to that. Like, I get it. Like, having another trade period in the season could, in situations, if a team is injured, be able to fix it without having to wait the rest of the season just to get a chance to address that particular problem. So, no, I get it, and it's like I said, it's a fun discussion because
Yeah.
some people are very, very, very vocal on what way they want. So
Yeah,
I get it,
for
I get
sure.
it. So we'll move to the next one. We're roughly halfway through the season, just a little bit past. For you, what is your story of the season?
Yeah, I said it in my thoughts. I think at the start of the potty. Yeah, I just think it's good to see some more teams competing now. There's always changes to the ladder every year, but it's a great opportunity for Gold Coast to now finally make finals for the first time this year. Adelaide, they've just had such despair seasons and almost made it a few years ago, but now they're shaping up for a team competing in the top four. Fremantle, they've been ordinary and been disappointing as a whole, but like now they're starting to build. So yeah, the change we're seeing a little bit this season with some teams up there. I think that's one of my stories, no doubt.
I'm gonna go a little bit off kilter here, and I'm interested to see what people think on this. My story of the year is how the AFL continues to bugger up very, very, very easily handled situations in
Mm.
spectacular fashion. Because I cannot tell you, I have never seen a league mishandle some very easy situations as badly as they have mishandled several this year. I think the MRO issue is getting out of hand. It is getting ridiculous on how baffling that these MRO decisions can just not make any sense. And then we get situations like, okay, Pierce gets left let off. Completely understand that. It was a football action. I get it. But then Lloyd Meek does something that almost everybody in every single media situation said is 3 weeks, and he gets let off. I don't get it. And I'm rather frustrated by they say that they're trying to make it easy understandable. For me, they just continue to find ways to bugger it up. I'm not going to be nice about it. The whole umpire gate with the Lockie Schultz thing, that has never ever ever looked good, and it was screwed up 3 times.
Mm.
It's ridiculous. I think the whole handling of Noah Balta and that whole situation, another cluster, you know what? I'm not going to be nice about it. They really mishandled that. I just, that's my story. My story is the AFL continues to step in it every single time they have an opportunity to screw something up or to say something just really, really dumb. They do it. And I've
Yeah,
never seen an organization do that as much as they have done it this year. Is the product on the field great? At times, yes, absolutely. At times, this is a fantastic competition. Absolutely love watching it. But man, is the administration just annoying the crap out of me because they cannot get out of their own way. And that for me is the story. I don't want to take away from the players on the field. I don't. It's been an incredible competition. I cannot wait to see the four because there are some great teams. Adelaide, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Collingwood, Western Bulldogs. So many teams I think have a chance to win a flag this year. But when the biggest story for me halfway through the season is how many times the AFL can bugger something up, that's pretty sad. And I know it's a weird take. I'm like I said, I'm interested to see what people think on that. But that's my story. My story is the AFL just continues to bugger things up, and it's very frustrating.
yeah, no, there are definitely a lot of fair points there. Yeah, the MRI is just so inconsistent. I just fade away of interest, to be honest. And yeah, it's just hard to make a right. Just baffles me sometimes. So yeah,
Well,
I always just try and focus on the game and
no, I get it.
enjoy the lights and
Like if you twist
yeah,
my
that's
arm
just how I
and
look at it.
like if you twist my arm and say the game, for me the story of the season is the Western Bulldogs' ability to handle adversity and continue to be
Yeah,
a team that have been fascinating because no Marcus Bontempelli, no Trelaw, you lose Sam Darcy for a long period of time. Cody Waitman never sees the field this entire season, and yet you're being talked about as a flag contender. How nuts is that? I mean, and Liam Jones can't get in the team, and
yeah.
Rory Lobb's hair. I'm sorry, I had
Jeez,
to.
every
I
single
had
week.
to. It is he's a character, and I appreciate it. Rory Lobb is Rory Lobb. I get it, but
Yeah,
they're such a dynamic, fun team to watch. You're seeing Ed Richards. You're seeing Bailey Dale absolutely have incredibles. We all know Bontempelli is one of the best players in the competition. There's no arguments on that. but they just keep finding guys keep finding ways to impress the Davidson kid, the doctor that's stepping away from med school to play footy and is playing some good football.
Yeah,
Buku
definitely.
Kamis has played well no matter whether he's been forward or back. You've seen I got to give Bevo his plaudits right now. I think he's coach
Yeah.
of the year.
Yeah,
I
no.
very have much have a hard time arguing that I don't think Bevo is coach of the year. I'm not one that subscribes to the best coaches. The coach that's on the number one team is the best coach of the year because sometimes it's obvious who's going to get there. So I don't like prescribing to that. I think Bevo is coach of the year right now because what he's done with the Bulldogs has been incredible.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that the Dogs currently sit out of the eight. That's how competitive things are now, sharping up at the
Yep.
top eight. But yeah, no, he's always been one. I reckon he could face the sack, but I think he's always been really a coach that's always quite close to his playing group and always has played for him. So yeah, this could be the year where they finally get things right. High percentage they've got to, and they've got a good run coming up, so they could
Yeah.
have some big wins at Marvel. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, they've been
No,
impressive.
I will raise my hand. I thought they were going to be bottom four.
Oh wow, yeah,
Well,
I'd be missing
I
out. So.
thought Trelaw, Bontempelli, Waitman, all those injuries at the start of the year, they were going to get put into a hole because they did have a relatively rough schedule to start.
Yeah.
I was worried they were going to get in the hole that I think the Melbourne Demons got in. I think the Melbourne Demons traded places with the Bulldogs. I thought the Bulldogs were going to start 0 and 4, 0 and 5, and then have they would build as they got their injured guys back, but it'd be just too big a hole to dig out of.
Yeah, that's
And
fair enough.
they found a way to like I said, mea culpa. I'll raise my hand. I whiffed on that one. So
Hmm.
let's get to it. I always end with a question about the team, and you and I are both huge Swan supporters, so we got to discuss. Let's have some fun here. Let's discuss this. What is the state of the Swans? Because I know this is a talking point that so many in the media are going to because as a team last year, minor premiers, they make it to a grand final. I know again another smashing. I'm tired of talking about it because I don't think last year's smashing is the reason. I just think so many things have not gone right injury wise, the change in coach. I think there's more to it than just this team is emotionally trashed because of a loss like that. I get it, but we're halfway through the next season. Nobody gives a shit about last year. It doesn't really matter. So I'm kind of over that talk, but I don't know. What are your
Okay.
thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm a bit more different. I think it certainly has hit the players in some sort of a way because it usually happens when you get built in a grand final. You can struggle the next year because there was a level of synergy and connection and mental and physical toughness we showed last year when we were down by 5 goals against Geelong or in a bit of a hole. We need to get back on top. We'd rely on our stars. We'd get the game on our terms and play some great football. But whenever there's been uphill battles this year, we just really down tools. So I think it has hit the squad in some sort of a way. And I did a video about our woes from the weekend on my channel, and I just think we've adopted a really heavy focus on contested ball and defence, and we're starting to turn the screws the right way defensively. I felt before that Demons game, but
Hmm.
it feels like we sort of left our DNA and our strengths behind. We're meant to be, our list is tailored to play this really good rebounding, turnover, slick and fast moving football with great kickers. But when you got Florent getting dropped, when you got McInerney in out of the team, I think he's having a decent year to be fair. But Blakey's down on form as well. A lot of players down on form too. It's just
Hmm.
everything is just not mixing well. And Cox has been no doubt under the pump. Getting a big reality check. Like this is AFL coaching, very difficult, and I think we've got to appreciate Longmire a lot more for what he did do with the team. But yeah, the cohesion, the connection, it's really lost. The spirit's really sucked out of this team, no doubt, the last 2 weeks. And conceding an onslaught of goals has been also an issue this year. So yeah, it's just a season I think that needs to roll over for Sydney. Have a hard reset in the off season with the playing group, and yeah, it should be interesting with the draft as well, with a few of those youngsters coming through.
Yeah, no, I all your points are very valid, and I actually have a hard time disagreeing with any of them because I I understand Coxie wants to put his stamp on the team. I do, but there has to be a little bit of give and take because of the list built. The way it is built, this is the team built for ball movement, speed of ball, quick kicking, kicking accuracy, all of that. Does that translate to contested footy and defensive footy? Not so much. And I think that's the one thing that I think has been a little frustrating because Nick Blakey this year, I'm not going to say his form is down because I really think he's doing what he's supposed to do. He can't
Mm.
do what he was doing last year because he's not at the halfback flanker. He's been playing as a third tall defender or second tall
Yeah.
defender because Melican's been injured or McCartan's been forward. So Blakey, we really haven't seen Blakey be Nick the Lizard be the Lizard this year because he's been having to play that second or even third tall defender. So he's
Yeah.
been taking out. Now Riley Bice came in earlier in the year and kind of took Blakey's spot and kind of became Nick Blakey 2.0, which was great. But as we started to see them regress more and more to the defensive contested footy, as you kind of said, we've lost Riley Bice. I mean, Riley Bice gets subbed out at halftime this year after and gets put in. And I think Caden Cleary came in and did exactly what Caden Cleary does. It's the one thing I loved about him is he is his disposal great? Absolutely not. I will be 100% honest there, but the kid gets after it, and I absolutely love it. He
Yeah.
brings the pressure that I think reminds us of the 2021 the premiership against Geelong that year where we were pressure personified the entire season. So I'm 100% with you. Like all those points are perfect. I just think that we've changed the game plan and it doesn't suit our guys. And again, I'm not at training, so I don't know what is and isn't happening. The statistics say exactly what you said. We're leaning more defensive, we're leaning more contested, which has been issues for us in previous seasons. Contested footy, we've been smashed in contested footy in so many games, it's not even funny. I know that a lot of announcers, even during the season, even during last year when we were minor premiers almost the entire season, well, they're still getting beaten contested footy. Well, but everything else, we're beating them. We're beating them in time of possession. We're beating them in turnover. We're
Yeah.
beating them in points. So I'll eat not winning contested footy if we're winning the game. If we're winning the game by scoring more points and being much more dynamically fun to watch. What I don't like is now we're winning contested footy and losing footy games.
Mm.
I I
Yeah. No.
I will flip that gladly to win the
Yeah.
game.
Contested. Yeah. No.
So
It has. Oh, no, sorry. I'll just go on that contested stuff. Yeah, it's been a little bit up and down, but I actually did before the Demons games. I did do like some numbers of where we were at, and we're actually one of the number one the last 5 weeks before that Demons game. The number one ground ball team in the comp. We're top four for contested possessions, top six in clearances, and one of the harder teams on being able to move from your defensive 50 to the forward 50. So yeah, we were doing a lot things right. I felt, and I thought we could build off this. But yeah, geez, we've played some good teams to be fair. Melbourne in
oh, I
form,
agree.
Adelaide in
Completely agree.
form,
Yep.
but yeah, geez, when you're losing like that, where you get belted by 60 against the D's and 90 at home to Adelaide, there's certainly something that's truly deeply wrong with this footy club and could be a long remainder of the year.
Yeah, it's the point total is more the frustrating part. I was pretty sure Adelaide was going to beat us because, like I said, they've just been fantastic this year. They've been in incredible form. It's the point total that's the problem, and I 100%
Yeah.
agree with you. The D's, I think we kind of caught them when they were the most in fuego, and Keziah Pickett. I mean,
Oh, and Wixie's been a good form too.
and
And geez, there
he
you
goes
go.
down,
But
he goes down with injury, and I think that's the
yeah,
most frustrating. And we don't have and we don't have Harry Cunningham. Those are our two
yeah,
best small defenders who both on their day can shut down most of the small forwards in the competition. They're that good. A lot like Nick Smith. I mean, it is the second coming of Nick Smith with Harry Cunningham and with Wixie. In fact, Wixie's been my most improved this year. In fact, I've loved him down back. He's been incredibly fantastic. Cannot wait to see him come back as well. So that's what I mean. Like there are positives, and I think we ran into two freight trains at the worst possible time. So it's become a pile-on. And I don't think it's as bad as some people think. Is it great? Absolutely not. I'm never going to tell a Swans fan you're wrong for being upset. Never. But there just seems to be this overreaction. It's almost, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to offend people, but I mean this. There's almost a spoiledness to Swans fans because we've been so successful for so long. We don't know how to handle this adversity this way.
mm,
It's not like 2019 and 2020 where we kind of expected it a little bit just because of the way the list build was. We had no Buddy Franklin. The team was really young at that time. That was kind of the start of this group of the Rowbottoms, the Warners. The Heaney still hadn't really found his groove yet. So you kind of expected it in those two seasons. But man, this year, after the previous two seasons, nobody was expecting what's happening right now. And the words I've said it on a few of my posts. I have no words because I don't know what to
Yeah,
say. Again,
yeah,
I'm not in the
that's
rooms.
definitely fair.
None of us are in the rooms. We don't know what Coxie is doing. We don't know what headspace these players are in. We don't know. So I hate jumping these fences of we should fire Cox. He's over his head. I think that is jumping a shark to a nth degree. Okay, calm down. It is one season. If this continues into next year, then maybe you've got a point. But
Mm.
again, Errol Goulden, I think we've really kind of seen how impactful Errol has been.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
somebody went through the numbers. It is insane what Errol has done over the last
Yeah,
3 seasons. It is insane what he has done. He's a huge loss. Is it everything? No.
mm,
No, nobody will say that. But again, down on form, there's a lot of transition. I'm holding. I'm going to relax a little bit. I'm going to get through this year. Again, another thing I kind of look at it is we've got Max King, one of our academy players coming through the pike. Having a
mm-hmm.
high draft pick could be good because it'll be gold when it comes to matching the bid. And there's a couple
Yep.
more that we potentially could. So it almost, and maybe this is a weird way of thinking it, having a bad season may not be a bad thing because it may help us keep the talent we've developed in the fold. But we'll have to see. Again, no Kinnear Beeson this year, so can his understudy do what Kinnear did? Because Kinnear was so good at finding talent. Chad Warner was an absolute diamond in the rough. Let's see if
Yeah,
we've still got that. So I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm gonna support my guy. I'm gonna support my guys. I'm a fan. I'm a supporter. I love this club. It's frustrating, but as a neutral, like if I put coach's hat on, the competition is fascinating to watch because you just never know what's
yeah.
going to happen. So I don't know. It's a fun discussion, Riles. I really do. Again, it's not easy. It's tough being a supporter of a club that's down towards the bottom. I get it, but I don't think it's as dire as the way some people are making it off. I mean, how's your timeline? Because like I said, I've seen fire Cox. Cox doesn't know what to do. We just need to play the kid, nothing but the kids. I've seen a little bit of everything, and I get it. It's fan blowing steam. It's fans that are frustrated, but I'm gonna hold firm. I'm gonna stay back because I think it's a little bit of jumping the shark.
Yeah, no, I've seen quite a bit of that. A lot of attention focus on Cox and etc. But yeah, it needs time, and I feel like in a way he's sort of playing chess with checkers, with
I agree.
trying to adopt this new game style with the players that aren't really adjusted to that. But yeah, we just seem like all a bit of a mess at the moment. Need to roll off this season and go again. So yeah, it will be Coxie's like first full pre-season with the lads too. No doubt with Horse not really being well, he might be present, but not like actually you know part of the coaching staff. So yeah, there could be some change to the coaching staff as well, perhaps because that's been fairly put the last few seasons. We've had Spike McVeigh to be fair,
Mhm.
come through, and Leon Cameron as the GM to be fair. But there could be some changes there. Who knows? But I think just ultimately he needs time and assessed maybe next season.
Yep, no, 100%. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see how it goes, but I'm again not jumping the shark. I'm interested to see how the rest of the year goes because we are going to get some guys back. I know
Yeah.
I'm already still to come back. Sounds I didn't get a chance to see Harry Cunningham's results in the VFL, how he run out, because if he did, that's a small defender to come back in. You still have Wixie still to come back. You may see Errol Goulden back this year. I'm interested to see how quickly they get him back because I'm
Yeah,
not sure what his running patterns and running schedule is because there's talk he could be back in 3 weeks. Well, is he up to AFL conditioning standard? That'll be the question on that because I don't want Errol going out there if he's underdone. It's a
Yeah,
waste. You're
definitely.
wasting Errol if you don't have him completely cherry ripe. If he's completely cherry ripe, give him a go. If he's not, just wrap him in cotton wool and save him for next season. I know some people don't like that, but I would rather have him full bore and ready to go next year than waste him underdone this year and cause
Yeah,
more of an injury issue as the year goes on. So that is it
yeah. Fair
for the
points.
yeah. So that is it. So that for the burning questions, we'll go to team of the week. I'm interested because Riles, whenever I do team of the week, he's very keen on this. So I'm fascinated to see what he thinks on this. So we'll
Okay.
start on the defense. You know all my rules. I tend to be a little bit more leaning on goals in scoring involvement, so it's a
Yeah.
little bit different. And
Okay.
he's very I love him because he points out things. I absolutely love it. So start on the defense in the fullback line. We have Brisbane's Noah Ainsworth, St. Kilda's Cal Wilkie, and Gold Coast's Bodie Hewland. On the halfback line, we see Jasper Fletcher of the Brisbane Lions, Adelaide's Wayne Millera, and Fremantle's Jordan Clark. On the wings, we have steel side bottom of the Collingwood Magpies and Essendon's Nick Martin. In the center at the ruck, we have Luke Jackson. In the center midfield, we have Collingwood's Nick Dacos, Richmond's Tim Taranto, and Geelong's Bailey Smith. On the forward line, we have Jeremy Cameron of the Geelong Cats, Hawthorn's Jack Ginnivan, and Collingwood's Jamie Elliott. At the full forward, we have Brody Myachek of the Collingwood Magpies, St. Kilda's Dan Butler, great to see him come back, and West
Yeah.
Coast's Oscar Allen. On the bench, my defender is I think I forgot to change that because I think there's another defender there. So I may have to go. I'm not going to get to it. So skip my defender because I know it's not Miles Bergman because Port Adelaide did not play this week. I forgot to change my list. My
So it's
apologies on that.
nah, it's fine, mate.
So we'll skip that. Okay, Grundy, Brody Grundy is my rock. I thought he was fantastic. One of the few bright shining lights of Sydney in that game. Isaac Cumming was a wing, kicked 2 goals for Adelaide as the midfielder, and forward is Shy Bolton of the Fremantle Dockers. So I know a lot of names really quickly. If I could get to my notebook, I would, but I can't reach it without going out of camera, and I really don't want to go out of camera right now.
That's all good. Um, yeah, no, pretty good. Did you have McCluggage?
I did not, if I remember correctly, he did. I think he only had a behind in this game,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, yeah, and he.
Yeah, I thought
Go
it was
ahead.
clear best on ground, to be fair. He got 10 coaches' votes in the end. So, yeah, no, fairly solid, though. Cal Wilkie was outstanding, though. Jeez, he's so underrated. He's
Oh, I know
superb,
who
just
it
a
was.
brick wall.
Thank you. You helped me out. It was Mark Keane of the Adelaide Crows.
Ah, yes.
Was the bench defender. Again, I think it was a little bit of Sydney kicking to Mark Keane as like he
Yeah,
was their full forward. But I
yeah,
mean, I got to give Mark. He was incredible. Even when there were contested situations, he was always the one coming up with the mark. Tommy McCartan was really good himself, despite having being getting it a lot. I think he had 25 disposals. It was yeah, he had like 8 yeah, but he kind of had to because it
yeah. He
was
had some good moments. He had his wins, Tommy Max. So, yeah.
oh yeah, he's usually but yeah, it was Mark Keane. As the when you said Cal Wilkie, it was like my brain went aha. So yeah, it was Mark Keane
Oh,
of the
good.
Adelaide Crows was my bench defender. I thank you. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
No, it was fun. Yeah, no, Cal Wilkie was fantastic for them. He's another one of those like he's unheralded a little bit, but he's heralded as an unheralded player, if that makes any sense. Because he people talk about him, but I just don't know if he gets the plaudits he probably deserves because he's an incredible fullback. Incredible.
Yeah, and he had like a, I think it was the fourth quarter,
31.
he had like literally, he had like literally 4 intercept marks in a row or something. They kept on going
Yeah.
inside 50, kicking straight to him. So, yeah, nah, yeah, quality player. I think he's in the All Australian team at the moment.
Yep, hard to argue with that on that one. So, all right, we'll jump to the other half of the part of the I take over the podcast is power rankings, which again, I go off form. This thing keeps fluctuating because so many teams in my top five keep losing. So we'll start off at five, the Fremantle Dockers. At four, the Adelaide Crows. At three, the Brisbane Lions. At two, the Geelong Cats. And at one, the Collingwood Magpies. So that is the five for power rankings. Again, it's going to fluctuate a lot this year because as soon as I think I've got it figured out, they kind of change. So I know we're early in the week, sir, and there's still a lot still to come. And we do have two teams with the buys with St. Kilda and Fremantle kicking up their feet on the sofas, but let's do some tipping. And just running through this, man, do we have an interesting round of games on here. I'm fascinated to hear what you think. Again, I know it's early, injuries, all that. Your thoughts on this? Starting off, Marvel Stadium, fantastic one here 2 weeks ago. Not as much now. Western Bulldogs, Hawthorn Hawks. Who do you like?
Yeah, I think this Hawthorn side's got to give eventually and pull out a good performance. You know, the mouth guards will keep on. They'll definitely ring the trading, no doubt. But yeah, the Dogs off the bye, pretty freshened up. I think they've been one of the most damaging teams from stoppage this year, kicking a lot of goals from that area, whilst Hawthorn's midfield's a bit suspect and leaking in goals here a bit, there a bit, here or there. Sorry. Yeah, I'd expect a bit of a bounce back from the Hawks, but it's hard to go against the Dogs, so I'll back them here by a few goals.
Yeah, I'm there with that. It's the first 10 minutes of the game is going to be big because sometimes teams coming off the bye, they have the rust of not playing for a week. And the team, especially if they're playing a team that has played the week before, sometimes they get going on them a little bit. So I want to see Hawthorn jump. If Hawthorn has a chance in this game, they got to jump the doggies and get a good lead because the doggies will
Yeah.
eventually find their groove. They'll get going, but the Hawks have to start strong because if they don't, it could be a long day for them, especially with as dangerous and as deadly as their midfield and their forward line has been. So I'm tipping the doggies as well, but this is a danger game. Hawthorn, this is a perfect game for them because you're getting a team with rust because of non-playing the week before. So, an
Yeah.
absolutely scintillating one on Friday Night Footy. Cannot wait for this one.
Yeah.
I am definitely getting up for this because I think this is going to be game of the round, in my opinion. Adelaide Crows, Brisbane Lions, Adelaide Oval. And it's not just because of the smashing they give this once, but I honestly think this is a great time to catch the Lions a little bit iffy form wise on the road. I like the Crows to win this one.
Yeah, tricky game here. I always say Brisbane, one of the more mature teams in the competition, and you know when their moments need it, they usually get it done more often than not. It was a draw last year when these two sides did play from memory
Mhm.
at this particular venue. Yeah, I could see Brisbane's midfield really doing a number on the Crows here. But yeah, geez, their intensity, their pressure. Adelaide has been outstanding, and I think off the back of a 90-point win, I think yeah, they'll really be perked up with confidence and very good at home this season. I think their only loss at home has been against the Cats, where they were up by like 5 goals during the third
Mhm.
term. So
Yep.
it's turning into a fortress. They're in good form. I'll go the Crows here by probably, yeah, I'll go them by 14.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an absolute cracker. I think the biggest advantage the Crows have is, I think the midfield I do give to Brisbane, but it's how does the forward line match up? Because I don't think Brisbane has a third tall defender. You've got Harris
Yeah.
Andrews, you've got Payne, but who's your third tall defender? Not Lester, not Zorko, not Ainsworth. And Kitty Coleman comes back. He's not tall, so your four of your other guys, and I can't remember. Jasper Fletcher has been playing off the halfback flank. None of those are tall. And that's not including Josh Rochelle, the rotational ability of Isaac Rankin to go from the middle to there. I just think if Adelaide can play a kick mark game and hit talls, they're going to give Brisbane headaches because they don't have a third tall defender to defend either a Phil Thorpe, a Walker, or a Fogarty. And I think that's going to cause them headaches if Adelaide can at least neutralize the midfield advantage that Brisbane does have. That I'll give you. Brisbane has the midfield advantage. I think the Rocks is even. Defense wise, honestly, I think I would give the Crows defense a tick over Brisbane's forward line. I think they're still a little inconsistent personally. That's kind of how I see it is I think the huge advantage is Adelaide's forwards against Brisbane's smallish defenders. So that's kind of how
Yeah.
I kind of saw that. But I'm with you. This
Okay.
Brisbane team on their day can be absolutely lethal.
Hmm. Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, should be a ripper.
So a fun one. MCG Richmond versus Sydney. Richmond gets another shot at knocking off the Swans here. Fascinated. Who do you like, Swans or Tigers?
Well, I said heading to the Adelaide game, we can't play much worse than what we did against Melbourne, and I turned out to be totally wrong. So probably at this rate, we'll lose by 150 points. But yeah, they have the wood over us, the Tigers. I think the last time, 2 times we lost against them, Shea Bolton ripped us to shreds. So thankfully he isn't playing us in this game. Yeah, look, Richmond will just continue to bring the heat and energy when we've been fairly ordinary when sides bring really good pressure. So the expectations at the same time are so low. So I feel like we just want to get back to basics heading into this game and hit targets well and try and get a bit of our strength to the table, but always focus on contest and defenses. Or defense, sorry, I'm
Mhm.
Australian, so we say defense over there, not defense.
It's
But
fine. You're not going to hurt my
uh,
feelings. I'm so used to hearing Australian versions. I say chook now for chicken all the time, and I confuse the hell out of my friends up
uh,
here. So go ahead.
yeah, do I back us? It's just I'm at the moment not really confident, so I think the Tigers will find a way to win this one, and yeah, off the back of some tremendous pressure, they'll win a close one by 8.
You and I are on the same wavelength. I'm tipping Richmond only, and that it purely is because the Swans sometimes when they have pressure, sometimes they get fumbly, they turn the ball over.
Yeah.
I'm just the thing that I'm looking at it here is that the expanses of the MCG will Dean Cox kind of lament a little bit and go back to 2022 and 2024 Sydney. Let them play the attacking, hit the corridor, open them up with your kicking ability, and kind of do that. If he can, the chance is there. But if you try to play defense, if you try to play contested footy against this Richmond side, they're going to have a field day with that.
Hmm.
Tigers, I'm going to tip Tigers for me again, hoping the reverse, the Swans win. And like I said, then I can be happy my team wins. If they lose, then I get the tip right. So
Yeah, win-win situation.
it's a no lose situation. I'm,
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting one. Like I said, I'm hoping that a little bit of Sydney from last year and 2 years ago come back because I think it'd be the perfect situation to open up this young side that's still learning, that's still growing, that's still gelling. Perfect opportunity. But the way the Swans have been going, I'm not sure how much they'll capitalize on that. So that'll be a fun one. So GMHBA Stadium, this one is going to be fascinating for me because Gold Coast at the Cats. Fun one here. Who do you like in this one?
Oh, something's telling me Gold Coast maybe get on top of this game. I think they'll need a response around the football. They've been very good with their pressure in their front half game, and yeah, there could be a case where they dominate around the football and win off that. But yeah, the Cats are the category. I think I got to back them in here. The record in Geelong for the Suns isn't too great, but this is a new Gold Coast Sun we're seeing this year, so
Mhm.
you don't want to dwell upon history too much. But I'm going to tip the Cats, but I'm intrigued. I think the Suns could definitely put a number on them.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Tipping the Cats because of form at GMHBA Stadium. But man, this Suns team, when they want to, can be one of the most difficult teams in the entire competition. Tipping Cats, but thinking Suns are going to be in this up to their eyeballs. Cannot wait for this one. That offense versus that stingy, miserly defense of the Cats,
Mm.
gonna be fun to watch. An intriguing one up in Manuka Oval in Canberra as the Giants host the Port Adelaide Power. Power coming off the bye, Giants coming off that narrow win over the Tigers. Interesting one here. Gonna tip the Giants. They always play Canberra really well. But Port Adelaide, man, I just don't know what I'm getting.
Yeah, that's true with Port Adelaide. Similar to Sydney, just yeah, sorry, that looks a bit cooked. They did lose a prelim quite a bit against us last year, and that has been also a thing when you lose a final by quite a bit. Yeah, no, you can struggle the next year, but yeah, obviously it's just the Ken Hinkley situation has hurt this club, no doubt, on and off the field this season. Are they going to transition to Josh Carr? So, Port Adelaide, I've always viewed them as a side that always seems to pull out a win when you didn't least expect, and I feel like they're sort of at rock bottom at the moment. So they will, I think, be continue to be competitive, but their second halves have been really disappointing. But with the rest, well, they've addressed those issues through the bye and really gone to training this week. Giants for me are gettable. I think they're conceding a lot of inside 50s. Their contested footy's been ordinary. I think the Giants should win this game. The speed they move the ball is very good. I think their front half with Toby Green in good form too should be able to get the pair here. But going the rough here, I think Port can find a way to win this game.
Mhm. No, I could see it. The way their up and down form has been, I could completely see it for sure. So a fun one, North Melbourne home game, but in Bunbury over in the west. North West Coast Eagles. Do the Eagles get off the schneid, or is North come back from the bye and get a crucial win to kind of balance their season out?
Tough one to tip. I mean, you look at the past encounters, 2 points West Coast, 5 points West Coast, 9 points North Melbourne. So these are always just really close games of football. Yeah, both teams have shown some quite decent form. North before the bye, very competitive. I think their midfielders throughout phases of games have been excellent. But yeah, West Coast, they've been impressive with their transition, and I feel like they're building. I'll go Eagles in this one. I guess it's a home game for North, but I think West Coast in Perth sort of do have the advantages of being at home, really. I know Bunbury's a bit of a drive from Perth, I am pretty sure, but
Mhm.
yeah, I am impressed with the Eagles' performance last week, and I think they'll build off that and find a way to win against the Kangaroos.
Yeah, so for me, sometimes is that when they have these absolutely fantastic, close calls, great games for West Coast, the next game is usually ugly.
Mm.
And that's the problem I have with West Coast. I'm gonna tip North here. I know it's in the West. I know it's a trip, but I think the Kangas coming off the bye, West Coast coming off the scintillating game against Geelong where they put a lot of energy into it. Can they back it up? Can they bring it again? It'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I'm going to tip North in this one. Again, no confidence in either of these teams, to be honest with you. I don't think it's hard to find a good point to really make it. Like I said, I've seen this West Coast Eagles come off a great game where they play scintillating football and then have an absolute mare in the next one. So I'm going to tip North on this one. Coming off the bye, West Coast coming off a difficult one. I know they're still at home, technically, but I like North in this one, despite the travel over to the West. Fun one at the MCG. Another couple of teams I'm not 100% sure on. Carlton, Essendon. I'm going to tip the Blues only because I think the contested footy and those two monsters up front, Mackay and Curnow, against an Essendon team that really has no tall defenders right now, or at least any ones that you're super confident in. I think this is a recipe for disaster for the Bombers. I like the Blues.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Blues as well. Yeah, no, really, really well put with the tools. That could probably outdo the Bombers. But yeah, I think Essendon just continue that recipe from last week, just bring relentless pressure, and that could outdo Carlton. But yeah, I'll go the Blues. But both enigmas these teams, so
Yeah.
this one could really go either way.
Yeah, no, 100% with you on that one. And then a very intriguing one at the MCG. This one took a little bit of a hit for me because if the D's beat the Saints this week, this one has me licking my chops. The D's lost this week, kind of lets the air out of the proverbial balloon as the D's take on the Pies at the MCG. Who do you like?
Well, they did when they expected to score the D's, so that's something they've been familiar with whilst losing. So, if we're doing
They're the
expected
kings of
scores, we
that
could be
stat.
looking at chops. Yeah, they sure are. Yeah, look, Melbourne has still been impressive apart from that loss. Probably just in Darwin, it's hard. They don't seem to play well there. I think it's like a 4-7 record over there. So, back at the more colder conditions, I think they'll be a lot more up for this game, show some intensity. But yeah, that ball movement's been great, and that contested for their midfield's been really impressive too. So I think they'll really make this one a contest. But I mean, when the team a few years ago, I always used to say with tipping, just back in the D's because they get it done. And I think that's the case with the Pies at the moment, most complete team in the competition. And just whenever a game's close, their experienced players know when to get it done and get on top and cause a surge. Their turnover game's been great. Their pressure's been elite. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Pies for this one. And I'll go there by a few goals.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Pies more is because when you play in a game like that with a ton of heat and humidity in it, it zaps you, and it does. It is not an easy recovery. Sometimes you can fill yourself full of fluids and all that, but it always takes just a little bit longer to recover. And I think getting the Collingwood after that, the worst possible team to get, especially when your defenders had to defend in that, and now you're having to face the mosquito, the flying jet mosquito fleet of the Collingwood Magpies. Worst combination, like the Pies. I worry this could get ugly. I really worry this could get ugly because unless the D's can make this a contested slog, keep it in the 50s to where even if you screw up and kick a few behinds, you're still in the game.
Yeah.
If this game gets into the 70s, it's over. It is over. The Pies are going to win it. The D's must make this a defensive slog. It has to be because I don't know if they've got the firepower to stay with the Pies if it gets anything higher than 50, 60 points. Legit think I and coming off, like I said, coming off the tough game and Alice Springs, Heat never bounce back that quickly. worst possible opponent. I think the Pies, this one could get ugly if the Pies get rolling. So,
Fair
so
enough.
fun one. So that is it. That is all of the games. That is all of the games tipped. Like I said, St. Kilda and Fremantle get to kick their feet up on the couch and relax and watch some footy this round. So that is it. That is all the games tipped. I cannot wait for an interesting, like I said, some of these tips were not easy to go with it. So let's jump to it, Riles. I know that, like I said, you have your YouTube channel, the Riles Macca YouTube channel. How are things going on it? And for those that are watching that have not seen your channel, kind of tell us a little bit about what you do and how you cover the AFL on your channel.
Oh yeah, I always enjoy talking footy. So I do talking footy videos here and there, do footy team videos, and just talk about each team and the previews and etc. And always get around some live watch alongs too. It's always a fun time. People in the chat, a lot of foreigners like yourself, some Americans come in and talk about they're new to the sport and etc. So yeah, no, I always enjoy chatting about the sport. So make content themed around that. And yeah, Rolls Marker on YouTube.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, definitely worth it. So much fun. I've worked with him for several years. What an incredible, incredible fun channel that he has. Definitely worth keeping track on it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for another episode of Donnie's Disposals. Again, if you like what you were listening to, please like and subscribe. And just know we'll be back with more footy coverage very, very soon.